Hello friends, today we will talk about the book In Search of Omar Khayyam. This book is written by Ali Dashti. He is very famous Iranian historian and theologian, and it translated from Persian into English by LP 11 Situation. This book is published first time in 1971, and in this English edition is 2011. This book has three chapter and three parts, and every part have different chapter. But to understand easily, I personally divided this book in three parts. The first part about Umar Khayyam and his age, his era, what the atmosphere of his time, and especially the thinking of religious people in that time. The second part is about Umar Khayyam. I mean, his philosopher Umar Khayyam as a poet, Umar Khayyam as a mathematics, and the third part is the work on Umar Khayyam by European historians, European scholars, and by East scholars. I mean, Iranian and Indian scholars. Firstly, maybe most English readers don't know how to Umar Khayyam. Actually, Umar Khayyam is a very famous poet of 11th century. He born in Nishapur, a south city of Iran, in 1048, and died in Nishapur also 1131. So in his age around about 83 years, a long period in the condition of that time. In the first part of this video, we will talk about the age era of Umar Khayyam. According to Ali Dashti, after Ghazali Mahmud, a Turkish conqueror and Turkish Sultan, Turkish king, after after Arabs, the Turks came into power, everything will be changed. Uh, for example, in uh, Arab times, in Abbasid, or before that in Umayyad time, the people can criticize the Islamic things like Quran and Hadith and other Islamic sources very freely. There is no any kind of the problem for them. For example, Abul Ala, one of very famous poet, he criticized the Quranic things, and in after 1 century of Abu al Murri, there is another Muhammad bin Zikriya al-Razi. He also criticized the prophethood, and he told that there is no need of prophethood to know about the God, to Allah, and no is no problem for him, and he told these things in openly in Ray city. But when Turks came in power, every freedom of thinking, freedom of speech, everything has been lost from because Turks was a alien race. They accepted Islam, and to occupy the other nations, they use Islam as a weapon. So everything in that time in 11th century, when 11th and 12th century, when Umar Khayyam was in life, so everything people started to see everything with Islamic or uh, with religious type. So therefore, there is also problems between Shia and Sunnis. These are also different sects, like Orthodox, like and Catholic and Armenian and the others in Christianity, or in the different in Judaism. So also it's like Shia, Sunni, Ashara, Mu'tazila, and Ismailia, and even Shafi and Hanfi. These are also different sects of Islam. Today, for example, today of Iran, all of them are Shias, and Turks, they all of them are Sunnis. So due to fight, or due to a problem between these sects, there is no peace, there is no fundamental rights, there is no freedom of speech. Especially when Umar Khayyam was in life, he saw these things. So he decided not to talk anything about these things, the religious beliefs, the popular religious belief. He never try to criticize these things in publicly. So it was the first part of our video that we can say that when Umar Khayyam was in life in 11th century and 12th century, after when Turks came into power, the freedom of speech was put to end, and there is Imam Ghazali and the other Muslim scholars uh, who is the reason uh, to end these freedom of speech on like these things. Ali Dashti debates and describes these things in very details. I just took something from them. And the second part of my video is Umar Khayyam as a philosopher, as a specialist of mathematics, and a poet. No doubt, everybody knows that Umar Khayyam is a great philosopher of his time, and he is amazing in mathematics. Uh, but as a poet, it's a problem because more than 2,000 books and articles has been written on Umar Khayyam, but still it is not totally described that Umar Khayyam is a poet, because we don't know how totally poems he has written. Because in first century we have very few poem from him, and after that when we came out from his era, from his period, we can see that there is too much poems with his name. According to Ali Dashti, the writer of this book, In Search of Umar Khayyam, he says that actually the people wanted to criticize religious thing by themselves, by their will, but due to the people afraid from religious power, so he used the name of Umar Khayyam. Otherwise, Umar Khayyam, as he was very famous in his time, especially he has very good relations with court of Seljuks, so he never criticize these popular beliefs of Islamic religious people, and he don't want to become the enemy of that religious powers. In basically, according to Ali Dashti, according to this book, the writer of this book, that Umar Khayyam, when he was drinking our time, and no doubt there is in Islam is not permission to drink the wine, but Umar Khayyam, when he sit with his very close friends, maybe 5 or 6, that time he says he said some poems, and the people have written these poems, and after the death of Umar Khayyam they published with his name. So according to Ali Dashti, there is just 67 rubayat, or 67 quantities or poems, which we can say that these poems are written by Umar Khayyam. Otherwise, the other scholars also have said that there is more than 66. For example, the Danish scholars, they said that there is more than 100. Even a Russian scholar, he said that there is more than 500 poems which we can say that it is written by Umar Khayyam. But according to Ali Dashti, the writer of this book, there is just 66 poems. We can say that most probably these poems are written by Umar Khayyam. Mostly in his poems he questioned about the death and after death, and he said, when I not came in this world by my own will, that after that how the God will ask about me, about this life, because I came in this world without my will, and I will go from this world without my will. So how I can responsible for these things which I have done in this world. Also in mostly poems, Umar Khayyam questionized about the day of judgments and these beliefs, popular beliefs, but he never according to Ali Dashti, he never denied the power of God. He never denied. He said that there is some power who made this world. Who is he said that there is some power, but who we don't know, because what is the reason of reason, who is the main power, we don't know, but there is some power according to Ali Dashti and according to Umar Khayyam. Ali Dashti in a whole book he described different poems of Umar Khayyam and debate about it. This thing, and the last thing and the third part of my video is that first time English writer and English poet Edward Feitzgerald, who translated the poems of Umar Khayyam, and he introduced Umar Khayyam into Western world. After that, Danish scholars, Russian scholars, and also Persian scholars had the debates on Umar Khayyam, how he was and how his thinking. So, in this book, according to my thinking, in this book, Umar in the search of Umar Khayyam, Dr. Ali Dashti tried to describe that the mostly people who fed from Umar Khayyam, they put they used his name and wrote their own thinkings against Arabs and against that the religious power of that time, but they used the name of Umar Khayyam. And in publicly, Umar Khayyam never criticized any Islamic belief or any other religion. He believed on God, and he in just his personal meetings, sometimes he questionized just about the death, about where we will come, from where we come, and from where we will go. This is the main question in his from where we came and from where we will go. The most and the most probably he questionized in his poems these things. Hopefully, I read this book with very enjoyed, and hopefully all of you will enjoy this book. Thank you.